Battle of Gods is 10 years old today. This movie came out March 30th, 2013. And since then, because of Dragon Ball Z Battle of Gods and the kind of resurgence in the fandom, the Dragon Ball Renaissance really began with this film. Since then, we've gotten a new anime, we've gotten several new video games, we've gotten three more movies, we've gotten Dragon Ball Super, the TV series, the manga, and tons of stuff. But really, it all traces back to the what I think was the real start of the Dragon Ball Renaissance, and that's Battle of Gods. You could say that the 2008 Son Goku special kind of kicked it off. I don't think so because that was more of a anniversary slash like Jump magazine celebration thing. This was them actually putting a new project out. So we're going to be discussing Battle of Gods today, our memories of when it was coming out, our thoughts on the impact they had on the fandom, and so much more. Welcome to Talk Dragon Ball Resurrected. I am Danny, the host of Geekdom 101. Let me introduce the panel. So right below me, we have Jordan the Dragon Lee from Dragon Ball
Yo.
X Sayuki. And then over here, we have Star Blast Studios, aka Heesh. He's
Hey, what's going on, guys?
one of the minds behind my shorts. And then over here we have Laserkid from Toonami Faithful. These guys have all been here
Yo.
before for previous editions of Talk Dragon Ball. So let's go back 10 years. We're all kind of in the same age group, not necessarily, but not that far apart. So I want to start with Heesh. He's the youngest. When did you first hear about Battle of Gods? Was it after it came out in Japan? Was it online? Was it when it came out here? Like, what are your memories of Battle of Gods before it came out? Where were you at during that time?
So, one thing to understand with me growing up is that with my livelihood, I was very sheltered. So, information came to me at a very different rate than others. I actually found out through Battle of God, specifically through my friend Thomas at high school, if I'm not mistaken. And over there, I remember it in particular, just like by the title in and of itself, like Battle of Gods, like what it's like it sounded like it's just so interesting and compelling. Like what exactly is it that Goku is going to happen? And at that point in time, like this is before that it even came out like in Japan, and so we have at that point like I have no idea like what that movie is going to be about. Like what this is. All I know is that Goku is going to transform into this crazy mythical form we've never seen before called Super Saiyan God, whatever the heck that is. And I'm seeing pictures all over the place, trying to do as much info, try to see what this thing looked like. And I see Golden Super Saiyan 4, and I'm just like, is that what it is? And for a long time, that's what I thought what it looked like. And then I remember like a little bit later, when I saw like actual trailers, I thought this was like like some sort of like fan animation because I thought Goku was in his Kaioken form or something like that. When I actually saw him like fighting Beerus, it was a very like weird time because I couldn't really disdain like the differences between what was real and what was fake from the internet
You
at
know,
that
not
point.
much has changed, bro. People are still
Yeah.
doing that
Yeah.
now. Yeah. So, but it sounds like based on the way you described your story, it sounds like you were probably not super deep into the internet looking for information until your friend had told you. With me, I was in the message boards, like I was lurking all over the place, and there, I think in the summer of 2012 is when it was announced there's going to be a new Dragon Ball Z movie coming out. And obviously, people have been waiting for this for years. I mean, Dragon Ball ended in Japan in 1997 with GT. There were some things that came out after, like Goku made cameos in Dr. Slump 97. And, I mentioned the 2008 Yo Son Goku OVA. But really, Battle of Gods was different because now we've got the top-notch animation team. Toriyama returned to co-write the script with Yusuke Watanabe, which was not the original idea. It was just going to be Watanabe's story until Toriyama chose to return. And I remember the first time Super Saiyan God was officially leaked. I'll never forget this. K17 from Japan posted a picture because I don't know how he got this. There's rumors that he knows people at Toei. I mean, I kind of have an idea, but I don't want to go into it here. But there was a room at Toei Animation. It was a picture of a door, and on the door was Super Saiyan God Goku with the hair. Now, prior to this, there had already been trailers and things like that, but they never showed Super Saiyan God in the Japanese trailers. They never showed him. In fact, they didn't even say it was Goku. They said he will appear, Super Saiyajin Godo, and that was like the big like tease in the trailer, right? Oh shit, that was the tease, right, going into the film. But we didn't see it until that image came out, and I just remember people completely shat on that form for months, and it wasn't until the movie actually was seen that people were like, "Oh, okay, it's better." As typical with Dragon Ball fans, they either shit on something and then later on appreciate it, or they love something, they get overly hyped, and then as time goes by, they realize, well, maybe it wasn't so grand. So Laser
That was
Kid,
Resurrection F in a
that
nutshell.
was Resurrection F. So Laser Kid, what are your memories of the pre Battle of Gods like 2012, 2013 hype train?
Very similar to you. I was all over the message boards. I was mostly lurking, but I still posted back then. I was still kind of active on message boards. And yeah, I remember being very shocked. Because like you said, Yoso and Goku and Friends come out, but honestly, unless you were a hardcore person who goes, oh, I'm going to go to Toei's website and turn on their official English subtitles, which they actually did.
Yes, they did.
Um,
And it was only available for like 28 days, right? Something like
it
that.
was. It
Yeah,
was. There were ways around that, but
of course.
it was.
Once something's on the internet, it's on the internet.
It it was the thing, but that was exciting when that happened. But it was sort of a okay, cool. They did something cool. I never expected to see anything else. I never
Same.
expect. I'm
Same.
like, okay, cool. That's a nice little epilogue. That's cool. It's good to have something. Never coming out in the United States. Still hasn't.
Right.
But hearing a movie coming out, I was really surprised. A lot of people were really surprised. It's like, well, you guys already did your little one-off, so what is this? What's going on? Super Saiyan God? What is that? I remember people arguing that Goku was going to fight a Super Saiyan God.
I remember that, and I remember the big speculation was when you look at the poster, the original poster, you've got Beerus, then you've got Whis, and for months they revealed, like we knew who Beerus was. They gave it away in the
Yeah.
trailers, and
Oh,
also
yeah.
there was a website, God of Destruction Beerus, but then there was Uisu, which is Whis, and it was like Beerus's mystery attendant. We didn't know anything about him being an angel or be how strong he was. They kept that a secret, but there were all kinds of theories about Whis, that he was a higher level god, that he was a Makaioshin, that
Oh, yeah.
lots of different
It's
stuff.
funny, but at that time, we weren't actually calling him Beerus. Like in my neck of the woods,
Bills,
we were calling him Bills.
Bills,
Yes,
yeah,
Bills.
Yeah.
I know
Bills.
someone who still calls him Bills to this very day, just because it's the
Oh,
funniest thought of
boy.
having it
Well,
like the God of
it's
Destruction
funny
just be called
because
Bills.
in Latin America and their dub they call them Bills. So
Not sure
Not
why,
know
but
that.
yeah,
But yeah, I
yeah,
remember
laser.
just being surprised, excited, and when they, it started coming out, people started talking about it, and there was, I think, a limited U.S. release for that one. I
It
wasn't able,
came
there
out. Yeah,
wasn't
there was a
able.
limited U.S. theatrical release, August of 2014. So it was a year and a
Yeah.
half after the Japanese one came out, which is way too long. I mean, with Broly, it was a month. With Resurrection F, it was like 3 months. With Superhero, it was like 2 months. So
Yeah.
they should keep
I
it
know it was 3 months.
for Superhero. July
I'm pretty
to
sure it was.
August, 2 months. No, June.
No, okay, never mind.
June, July. Well, yeah, two and a half, whatever. But yeah, either
Okay,
way, it's yeah, same summer. But with this movie, it was a long time coming. Now, before we started talking, I thought I was the only one who didn't see it in theaters. I did not see this movie in theaters. Laser, you didn't see it. Star Blast, Jordan, did you see this thing in theaters?
No, as a matter of fact, I was so busy with my family and my kids and stuff like that. I had completely gotten out of Dragon Ball for a very long time. I was living a very different kind of life, and I remember I think I first heard about Battle of Gods whenever it came out on DVD.
That was a
Actually,
while after. DVD here or
yeah,
over there?
here.
Oh, Wow, that was wild. That was like October.
Yeah, that's when I finally saw it myself.
Yeah.
See,
I didn't
I
hear
was gonna
about it
ask you
until
about
I
that.
could actually watch it because I think I remember seeing an advertisement for it on one of the streaming services that I had at the time. And I was like, whoa, new Dragon Ball. And like it was jarring because I didn't expect to see new Dragon Ball. So yeah, that's my memory of it, is just seeing an advertisement for it as it was being released where you could watch it on DVD and on different streaming services.
So
Mhm.
Laser. So okay, my next question for all you guys is, what was your memories of the first time you actually saw the movie straight through? Now I'm gonna real quick go over some other stuff with me. When the movie came out in Japan, this movie was very difficult to find online. When the recently, it's not that hard. Like that, we can find stuff pretty easily. It is what it is. I remember there were clips on YouTube of Goku fighting Beerus, but they were hard to see. They were like cam footage and it was like shaky, and you see it in like a corner. It was current turned, and I was going nuts trying to find these. I was losing my mind trying to find them. By that point, the plot synopsis had already come out, but it wasn't the same as actually seeing the movie. I will never forget when I first saw the movie. September 13th, 2013. My friend had just gotten married the day before. He lived in this city called, I think it was Punta Gorda, and I drove back to where I lived, and I get online. The first thing I hear from AOL Instant Messenger, that's how long ago it was, is my friend was like, bro, Battle of Gods leaked. Here's the link. And it was on some website, which I had this link for years in one of my old browsers and one of my old computers. I might still have it. And that's when his name was Bills. It was a fan sub. It was not the authentic sub. This was before it even came out on this is before it even came out in America. This is like September 2013, almost a year, 11 months before it came out here. So I was so moved by this movie. Like this movie, that's why like when Broly came out, I remember I said that I might still like Battle of Gods more, and I remember people gave me shit for it, but Battle of Gods moved me. Like I got emotional watching that movie, dude. That movie made me emotional. There were so many things they were doing in the story that I had dreamed of. Like for example, Beerus calling out Goku for being prideful and Vegeta doing the My Bulma. There were so many little scenes that are so emotional if you're a fan of Dragon Ball. Like as a fan of Dragon Ball, as a fan, that should have been it. As a YouTuber who has a business to run, I'm glad there's more stuff, right? But as a Dragon Ball fan, Battle of Gods could have been it because there are so many emotional scenes in that movie that just grab you by the heart. The scene with My Bulma, the scene with the music that plays when Goku becomes Super Saiyan God. When Pan is revealed, when Videl revealed to be pregnant with Pan, that moment almost made me cry. Like I was up here holding in my emotions because that's the most realistic scene they've ever had in Dragon Ball when it comes to capturing human emotion. When Gohan was like, he picks up Videl like I'm gonna be a father is so powerful. To this day, it resonates with me. And of course, Beerus calling out Goku, and then the big one at the end of the movie when Goku is able to absorb Beerus's giant sun blast. For lack of, I don't know, it's got a different name. And then you have the big reveal where Beerus says, "This guy is actually stronger than me," and Goku's like, really? And then he tells him, he's like, so he's the strongest in the universe? And then Beerus says there's 12 universes. Right then and there, that was a game changer. I don't think people to this day understand how much of a game changer that was. Because when I first saw that movie and they said there's 12 universes, I immediately knew there was more coming. I'm like, okay, this is the beginning of something else. Because there's no way they would say that. There is no way that line would be in this movie if it wasn't to tease something in the future. Same thing with how in Broly, Frieza at the end of the movie, he's like, oh, I'll get my revenge somehow. Like, that should tell us that there's more coming. Like, whenever you hear rumors of Dragon Ball ending or whatever, take it with a grain of salt because there's always new stuff. And if you watch the content, you'll see it. So that was a game changer for me. I loved Beerus's character in the movie. I love that he wasn't a serious, super evil villain. He was doing the breakdancing. He wanted food. And, you know, and I love Whis just being so powerful that they built up the entire movie around Beerus, and then Whis chops him once and knocks him out. Just there's so many things about that movie that I watched it with a chick years ago. I was dating somebody, she had never seen it. She had seen the entire series, but not it. And I know that I got teary like 3 times because there's so many things in that movie for a Dragon Ball fan who was fucking starving for new content. That movie filled
yeah.
every single one of my orifices. Pause. So I'm gonna start with Star Blast. What are your memories of your first time watching Dragon Ball Z Battle of Gods? Oh, and by the way,
There
make
was
sure y'all leave comments down below with your first time watching. Go over your memories, who got you into it. I want to read these comments real bad because I'm always fascinated by other fans' perspectives and how they first saw the movie. So please do that and leave a like. Go for it, bro.
leave a like on the video, guys. Okay, so my first experience when it came to actually watching the movie, so yeah, it was just like with on your end when I first saw it. It was like it was off of like some site. I don't remember like what it was that I saw, but I remember it was like some very like sketchy website because I remember browsing the internet in particular, trying to, see this movie and running into all these sites that seemed to like,
Ads.
they would act like they would have it, but then like they'd play like the first part of it, it's saying 20th Century Fox, and then you have to buy the subscription here
hate
to
it.
actually see this movie.
I hate
Those
it.
old like scammy
They're
like
still
sites
around,
and
but they're
whatnot.
not as
They're
big as
still
they used to be.
around.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So you
And
saw it on there?
like, no, I eventually, no, like through my search and stuff, was able to find, something, and I saw the movie on there, and like I remember, I don't remember like how good the audio quality is, but I don't remember it being like that, well, or like or the video quality and such. But
It was
actually
okay.
being able to see the movie, I think one of my favorite parts in there, when watching it was seeing Goku as a Super Saiyan, just like break from out of the rocks, like saying well in the sub, I don't even remember if the phantom exactly what it was said, but Goku saying, I will not allow you to enjoy destruction, which that's actually like one thing that I really do like that the dub changed and made it like better. I will not let you destroy my world. Like I know it's like not as accurate, it's a bit more dramatic, but it's just like the way that Sean delivered that performance, like I loved
Yeah,
it.
he screamed his
And
ass off, which that behind the scenes reel is on YouTube if you want to see it. I think type in Battle of Gods behind the scenes. You can actually hear Sean and Chris and all those guys doing that
it
performance.
keeps popping in my recommended like till this day. Like I always see that popping in, and I just like I look at the I look at it from time to time.
Right.
But yeah, like I remember seeing the movie on there, and I'm just like, man, this was great.
So
And then I
you
remember
saw it
like
subbed first, right?
I saw it subbed first, and then it's just like I
Was
see
that the
like
first time
and
you
this
had seen it
was
subbed ever? First Dragon Ball subbed ever for you?
no, I don't know. Again, it was a decade ago. It must have. I feel like no. When it came to okay, maybe not sub, but I did see Japanese like Dragon Ball beforehand as well. Through like these old like bootleg DVDs that, funny enough, I got from Syria when I was over there. They had
Of
like a ton of that
course.
stuff, and so but yeah, watching the sub like to me was fine. And then I remember like I believe I actually saw this like I don't know like 2 or 3, maybe 4 months after it released in Japan or something like that, which
Well,
maybe
I think it
maybe
was like 5 months because you probably saw it around the time that I did. I'm guessing because
okay,
you couldn't find the
okay.
movie, dude. Like there was a cam rip that didn't have the whole movie. Like it's just like how when Resurrection F leaked, there was like the Portuguese dub and it wasn't the whole movie, and you had to get then the Japanese one and piece it in. And I remember that. I think
Mhm.
Dragon Ball fans are spoiled big time because Broly and Superhero leaked like that, and the quality wasn't even that bad. It was a cam, but it wasn't that bad because obviously cell phone cameras are a lot better now than they were 10 years ago. But
Yeah.
as
Mhm.
Laserkid over here, he's on his cell phone camera, so there you go. And
Uh,
in 4x3 also. But
Ooh.
yeah, but so
The aspect ratio all of OG Dragon Ball should be, and not the stuff that Funimation
the
does.
correct one. So Jordan, your first time seeing the movie and your thoughts on it?
Well, I had not had any Dragon Ball to enjoy for a really long time because I was too busy with like my day-to-day life to like
Me
go
too.
looking at
Until
to
that
go look
happened.
at cam rips and like, you know, like Dragon Ball was like something I had basically just accepted was over at the time. I knew that there was like supplementary material that, you know, came out afterwards, but I had just accepted it as, you know, non-existent at the time. So I wasn't actually out looking for it. I become sort of a bookworm. I read a bunch of books and, you know, studied a bunch of stuff before Dragon Ball came out that pertains to Dragon Ball in a way that I didn't understand during the Dragon Ball Z era. So whenever I started watching Battle of Gods, whenever I started watching the new era of Dragon Ball, it changed my whole perception of Dragon Ball as a whole because I had ingested a lot of like source material and stuff like that for Dragon Ball prior to watching Battle of the Gods. So when I watched it, it sort of sparked like a new appreciation for Dragon Ball as a whole for me because it actually caused me to go back and rewatch the entire Dragon Ball portion and Dragon Ball Z portion with a new perspective
Right.
because I had gotten older and I had learned a lot of stuff about Chinese culture and martial arts, you know, during the like 8 or 10 years that I hadn't consumed any Dragon Ball content. I had learned a lot about their culture and about martial arts and stuff like that. So whenever I saw Battle of Gods, it sparked like a new appreciation for Dragon Ball for me. It caused me to go back and gain a new understanding and a new appreciation for the old material. And I had been studying a lot of mythology at the time. Of course, we do videos about Journey to the West together. Like you, the Battle of Gods film, the experience that you had with Battle of the Gods, I had a similar experience with the Journey to the West movie that we watched together prior to consuming Battle of Gods, which is interesting because as we were talking about this, but the Japanese voice actor for the Monkey King in that movie was discovered by Akira Toriyama in that film, and then not long after that, Battle of Gods came out. So it's very possible that that film actually helped birth Battle of Gods and the new era of Dragon Ball. So like all of that stuff is like really connected in that era for me because like I had become a huge Journey to the West fan. I consumed that film before I'd ever seen Battle of Gods again, and I didn't find out till way later that Beerus played him in the Japanese dub
Oh,
for
it's the
that
same
film.
actor.
Yeah, because I hadn't watched the Japanese dub. I'd always watched the Chinese dub of that Journey to the West film because, you know, that's how you're supposed to watch it. It's a Chinese film.
Chinese movie. Yeah.
And then I found out later that, you know, that film was heavily inspired by Akira Toriyama. He hired Beerus more than likely as a result of hearing his voice in that film playing the Monkey King.
Well, it was either
So,
him
like,
or Aoni Productions. It could be somebody at Toei
right,
too. You know.
right.
But yeah, that makes sense.
Um, but, you know,
But was it this
whenever I saw
emotional
Battle
experience for you, like it was for me?
Yes, it was because like it changed my whole perspective and outlook on a series that I had previously loved during my childhood. Like it reignited like a passion that I had had for it whenever I was younger because I was seeing it in a whole new light. And I had developed an appreciation for mythology and stuff like that. And my two favorite mythologies are Egyptian mythology and China, like Asian
There's a
mythology
lot
in
of that
general.
in this movie.
So when Battle of Gods came out, and I got to see an Egyptian deity face like a Chinese, like you know, a character who was inspired by a Chinese deity. Whenever I got to see them fight each other, I was just like, "This is amazing!" It's like exactly. It was almost like it was catered just to me. Like I fit. I know that sounds weird to say, but whenever I saw it, it felt that way because it had everything that I had gotten into as an individual at the time. It covered all the bases. So yes, it was very it had a huge impact on me, so much so that I ended up creating a Dragon Ball fan manga that got super popular because it was a brand new character. It wasn't Goku or Vegeta or something like that. Essentially, like there's a character in Egyptian mythology who is just like Sun Wukong. So I took that character and I used him as the basis for my character. And that manga like took off. Like it got really popular on YouTube, like millions of views, like all across YouTube You know, so like, yeah, Battle of Gods was a huge part of my life. Like, it had a huge
Dragon Ball
impact.
Infinity.
Yeah, it had a huge impact on, my life even to this day.
Of course, changed my life. I
Yeah,
mean, it
yeah,
literally
I'm sitting here talking to you because of Battle of Gods.
right.
So,
No, Battle of Gods changed everything, man. And like, so I'm gonna go around and ask y'all this next question, but before we get there, I was just I never got into the Journeys to the West stuff till after. It was just the Battle of Gods. I think did the reunion thing right. It was like you see a lot of these like shows doing like reunion specials, like Full House did Fuller House, and that was supposed to be one season, but it got popular. Roseanne came back. You have like Futurama came back and actually had several more seasons that were better than the older stuff. I mean, there's just so many, like Saved by the Bell. Like there's so many shows. Girl Meets World. I mean, I can go on and on where old shows from the 80s and 90s have their reunion specials and then it's done. Or if the special gets over, boom, we have more coming. And so that movie made a lot of money. I don't think people recognize that film, Dragon Ball Z Battle of Gods, I'm pretty sure is not only the first Japanese movie to ever come out on IMAX, the first Japanese released movie to come out on IMAX in Japan, but it's also the only Dragon Ball movie, not the only movie, but one of the only anime movies where the Japanese government actually paid money to help fund the movie. Like they had so much confidence that this thing was going to do well. And to Jordan's point about Toriyama getting involved, he wasn't originally involved. That's a big, but there's also a misconception behind that. People think that Toriyama and Dragon Ball Super and all that was because of Evolution, Dragon Ball Evolution. That's not entirely true. What happened was Toriyama was not happy with Dragon Ball Evolution. I mean, who was? And then when Battle of Gods got greenlit by Toei and Fox, because Fox is the distributor, not the creator. I don't know how many times I've said that on this channel for all the Disney owns Dragon Ball morons. Fox is the distributor, not the creator. Their job is to put
right.
the movie in theaters. Once it was greenlit, Toriyama wasn't even involved. The script was Yusuke Watanabe. Beerus is supposed to be like a lizard creature that infects people and makes them evil. And Super Saiyan God was supposed to be Super Saiyan 4 looking with gold hair and a cape. And none of that happened,
Right.
thankfully. Even though the gold hair and cape did sound kind of cool. Like the idea is not that bad. It's just Toriyama got involved and made it more fun and more lighthearted. And I don't know if y'all know this, but I think it was one of the pitched ideas that it was supposed to be during 18 and Krillin's wedding, and that got changed to Bulma's birthday because they forgot that 18 and Krillin had already been married. So there's your true story.
Gosh.
But Toriyama got involved because he didn't want them to make another Dragon Ball project without him, like Evolution. And so he jumped in there. And since then, man, he's been involved one way or another. So let me go around and ask y'all favorite scene in Dragon Ball Z Battle of Gods. And again, we're talking about, let me elaborate this. Battle of Gods has been retold multiple times. I'm going to explain what I mean. You've got Battle of Gods theatrical. You've got the extended cut that came out the following year with the extra scenes. You've got the TV anime version, and you've got the manga version, right? And then you also got like Battle of Z and other games. But what I was going to focus on here is the movie, whether it be theatrical or extended. What's your favorite scene? And I want to ask you guys also, do you prefer which one do you prefer, theatrical or extended? Because I've gone on record as being this is one of the only movies where I think the extended cut is actually not as good as the theatrical cut. Theatrical cut, I like some of the stuff they put back in, but there's so much extra stuff that wasn't needed. The theatrical cut was a nice, trimmed 90 some, I think it was 85-minute movie, easy to watch, we're done. Theatrical added a bunch of crap that wasn't necessary. I was happy to see it, but whatever. So I'm going to start this time with Jordan. Favorite scene, and do you prefer theatrical or extended?
I think I prefer. I think I agree with you. I think I prefer the theatrical release. But in terms of my favorite scene is whenever Beerus is threatening to destroy Earth, and it's a play on the scene where Frieza destroyed Planet Vegeta. It's very, very similar to that. As a matter of fact, when Dragon Ball Super Broly came out, they used the same music for that scene, for the scene where Raditz is protecting Planet Vegeta from Frieza's
Raditz?
You mean
blast.
Bardock?
Bardock.
Yeah, Bardock. My bad. When Bardock is protecting Planet Vegeta from Frieza's blast, they play the same background music as they do in this movie or in Battle of Gods, and that's because that whole scene with Goku where he's essentially accepting that Beerus is more powerful than him, and he's essentially showing humility
Yes.
towards Beerus,
Yes.
and that causes Beerus to not want to destroy the Earth, which is a direct parallel to Bardock, like having such a bloodthirsty mentality when it came to, taking down Frieza. Essentially, like Bardock proved Frieza right. Not that Frieza wouldn't have destroyed the Saiyans anyway, but like Bardock is a great example of like, you know, the type of mentality that will ultimately hurt you in the long run, like whereas Goku, like he showed humility, and as a result, as a result of Beerus's attitude, it's a great parallel to the relationship that Vegeta and Frieza have, whenever you consider the relationship that Goku and Beerus have, because Goku and Beerus have a very healthy martial arts like relationship. Whereas like Vegeta and Frieza, it's all about who's the dominant life form,
Yeah.
who's on
Totally
top.
different. Totally
Like,
different.
yeah, like,
They'll never
and
be friends.
I've always enjoyed the parallel between, Goku and Beerus's relationship, Goku and Frieza's relationship, and Vegeta and Beerus and Vegeta and Frieza. I like the way that their relationships, the dynamics between those four characters, I've always like really enjoyed. And a lot of that stems from that scene. When I saw that scene and I understood that they were referencing the day that Planet Vegeta was destroyed, it really changed the game. Like I said, whenever I'd watched Battle of Gods, I had like gained a better understanding of like Eastern philosophy, martial arts, Journey to the West, mythology in general, stuff like that. So when I saw that scene where Goku showed humility, and that ended up being what
Well,
caused
even if you
Beerus to
don't
have
know about
respect
Journey to
for
the
him.
West, that's still a big deal for him to do that.
Well, yeah. Well, from a martial arts perspective,
Right. Mm-hmm.
like everything that I had learned at the time, like it really made the experience that much more impactful because it made me understand what was happening. Because I was like, oh, so because Goku showed humility as a martial artist, Beerus respects that, and because he respects that, that's the difference between what happened that day when Beerus and Goku faced each other and what happened whenever Frieza and Bardock faced each
Yeah,
other,
but
is
Frieza would
that
have
there
still
was
blown up
no
the
humility.
planet regardless of
Oh yeah,
Bardock,
yeah.
though.
I'm just saying like the way that Beerus, the way that Beerus's animosity was sort of deflected by Goku's attitude really went to show. It really showed you how important Goku's attitude was, and it really showed you the difference in his character compared to like the previous era of the Saiyans, and it really expressed exactly why Goku saves Earth over and over and over again in a really unique and meaningful way for the new era of Dragon Ball. Because, prior to that, Goku basically just had to struggle till the very end to face all these really pure evil beings that would have destroyed him had they been given the chance. Whereas Beerus, who's like this god, he's like this deity like figure, you know, he's considered like more destructive and more powerful than all the villains that Goku has faced in the past. And yet, Goku still chose to show humility for his position as a god and as a martial artist. And I just think that's cool because Beerus, like Vegeta during the Saiyan saga, was like this unstoppable force. He was this unstoppable obstacle that Goku could not surpass. Like Beerus, he had no chance against Beerus, and that was really refreshing for like a Dragon Ball film because in every other instance, Goku just struggles till
Yeah,
the
it
end, and then
broke the
he takes out
formula.
the villain. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
and I really enjoyed about the film.
So, Laser, your favorite scene and which version do you prefer?
I think my favorite scene, bar none, is going to be Gohan finding out that he's got a daughter on the
That's
way.
my favorite scene. Fuck you.
I'm
I should have done the middle
sorry.
finger, but whatever.
But
Screw the anime for screwing that up.
That is my favorite scene.
No, it's just when I first saw that movie, everything blew me out of the water just because every character got a scene. Even Oolong got a moment.
That was in the extended cut though.
Fair, but that's actually why I like the extended cut better. Would be my
That's
answer
fine.
to you.
No, that's fair.
Is I think it's purely because everybody got a moment. And when's the last time that happened in Dragon Ball before that point?
Well, not very often. Yeah, I mean it is what it is. I also forgot to mention too, like even early in the movie, the way they're building up Beerus, and then Super Saiyan 3 gets one-shotted, like he flicks fucking Goku, like that. The choice to do that was such a big deal back then, bro. Like I don't think people understand. Like it's same thing that night when 109 and 110 aired, and you have Jiren blocking Super Saiyan's God's punches with one finger, like. These are like big moments. People forget about how awesome they were. Like they were modern Dragon Ball. It can't hold a candle to the old shit, but it has its moments, you know. And I think Battle of Gods is probably my favorite modern Dragon Ball thing to come out. Like Broly's up there. Superhero was fun, but Battle of Gods really did a lot of things. It's not just what you said, but the moments mattered.
Yeah, well, and out of all of the modern Dragon Ball stuff, and I like most of them. There are things I don't like in certain spots, but Battle of Gods is the most cohesive.
Yeah.
It has beginning, a middle, and end. Nothing is wasted. Even the extended cut, which adds stuff that does make it longer, that isn't, strictly speaking, necessary, but it works. It doesn't waste things.
Right.
I didn't think it did either.
And I think that's why it's probably the best one, like, out of the modern stuff. And honestly... Yeah, like you said a while ago, going out of it, you're like, oh my god, we're getting more of this stuff, and that feeling isn't going to be replicated pretty much ever again.
Well, maybe when they announce the anime or something, maybe, but you're
maybe,
right, it's
but
not
like
the same.
We all know it's going to come back though. Like when Battle of Gods came out, we didn't know it was coming.
No, not until the movie came out, right?
Yeah.
So, Star Blast, you're last up, man. You know the questions.
Okay, so. My favorite moment in the movie, I know it's like, you know, in all the different variations. Obviously, I'm gonna go with the movie because no, like manga, the anime, not as good as it in my personal opinion. I mean, there was some cool instances. I felt like, you know, in Super, where I mean, you just like kind of had like, you know, the dragons, but I mean, it was just like it's not as good as the movie. But like my favorite moment, and it's just like. I look back at this and I still get specific goosebumps. I know I went in a little bit, you know, already talking about my favorite scene being I will not let you destroy my world, or I will not let you enjoy destruction. Right. But like when the music kicked in and Goku is flying over, you just see like this. I believe
you talk about the Sheeta.
Be brave, give me power. Yeah, and like Sheeta just like animating you, just like it's such a beautiful moment too, as you see them like going back through this, like fighting through the sky,
and then
like in such like and then going to space too, which I remember so many Dragon Ball fans back in the day were just like, how is Goku breathing up there? I don't know if he's able to breathe in space, man. I thought he's not supposed to do that. And then, but it's whatever. It's like they're able to do that because atmospheric stuff.
Oh, I mean, I love that. I love that scene. That whole fight is awesome because like they're fighting, and you know he's punching, and Beerus is kind of playing with him at first, you know, and then how does it feel to be a Super Saiyan God? And then Goku's like, I wish I had done it myself. You know, I wish I had done it myself. And then like I love that.
That's a really good moment.
Yeah, and you're right. The underground shit with the this is not a sporting event or whatever.
Pretty.
Yeah, and it's just like, but when the music specifically kicked in, like I just remembered, like, you know, how well the, you know, the layers, like listening back, like I just have so much more appreciation for that scene than how I originally did, just because of how like much the music narratively added to the story that was being told in there. And so rewatching it, I feel like in a lot of cases it's amplified for me than how it was when I had first originally watched it. I mean, I guess the standard for it wasn't that high considering it was, you know, off of this weird website.
Well, here's the thing. That right there, that scene with Flo playing Hero, I don't know if you know this, and I don't know how many people watching this know this, but in every single international release of that movie, they play Flo singing in English the only way to hear the Japanese authentic song in that scene, and by the way, this includes the Japanese dub on the Funimation release, you cannot hear Flo singing in Japanese unless you have either downloaded or got yourself a copy of the Japanese version from Japan, because Toei and Sony Music Japan did not allow that song to leave Japan. So unless, actually that's not true, because I think there was a Hong Kong version that had that on there plus Yo Son Goku as a special, but most international releases don't even have the right version of that song on. So if you go to YouTube and type in Flow Hero JP, and then Flow Hero English, it's the same lyrics, but he's singing in English, and it doesn't sound as good because English always sounds weird. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I love that scene
Yeah,
nevertheless.
I
still
never,
love that
I never
scene.
knew that. I never knew that, like why they would limit it. I mean, this song like that, because I know, when it came to Dragon Ball Super Broly and majority of the other songs, like they didn't really have
Yes, they did.
any of those types of
Yes, they
They
did.
did?
You're and when
Oh yeah.
if you have the Japan, if unless you have
Not
a Japanese copy of Broly, the Blizzard that plays in the credits, Japanese or English dub, is the English lyrics. This is a thing
Well,
they
no, no, I
always
know that.
do.
Well, no,
It's
no, no,
very
well, no, I
annoying.
know that they do that, and no, no, I know that they do that like with the English dubs and stuff. Like they'll change up the
No,
language,
even the
but not
No,
not
no,
when
No,
with
it's
no, you're
subs
not
too.
listening, dude. You're not listening, dude. Blizzard in Broly is not an English dub song. It's the Japanese song.
yeah, it's English.
And that's what I'm saying. Except for if you have the Japanese Broly version. If you have,
Right.
okay, let me go through it again. Insert music in Dragon Ball does not always leave Japan. Whether it be Blizzard or Flow, a hero, neither of those songs are available in their native Japanese on the American home releases. They're not on there, even if you watch it in Japanese. If you are watching, if you don't believe me, go do it. Get your copy of Dragon Ball Super Broly. Fast forward, put Japanese audio on, and go to the credits. He's singing in English. This is something that Toei has notoriously done for years, and I don't like it, and I've never been a fan of it.
No, I know, and I understood what you were saying. I was talking about like you to the point where it's even difficult to access what the original, what the song was like in
Yeah, you have to look it
Japanese.
up. Yeah, you'd have to either get a Japanese release, which is why I own the movies in Japanese from Japan, because they're missing things like that in the English releases. And by the way, that's not Funimation's fault. That is Toei.
Hmm.
That is not Funimation. So once again, Toei making a stupid decision. You know how it is. So before we wrap up, last question: Dragon Ball Z Battle of Gods impact on the fandom. Jordan, you go first. Looking back on it now, it's been 10 years. How do you remember this movie, and how do you think it'll be remembered, or how do you think it is remembered?
I mean, it's definitely like you said, it's the birth of the Dragon Ball Renaissance. It, like I said, it had a huge impact on my life personally. Like, I'm a Dragon Ball fan more than I ever was. I talk about it all the time. It spurred a whole era of like new Dragon Ball content on YouTube. It changed the landscape of the entire fandom. So yeah, I would say Battle of Gods will be remembered for that specifically. Basically just starting the new era of Dragon Ball content and essentially reawakening the passion of like old fans like me and you and Star Blast and
And Laser.
all of
And you know,
yeah.
and it was also one of the it was the first Dragon Ball movie to come out in theaters in the United States, with the exception of there was a very limited run of Fusion Reborn prior to Battle of Gods, but Battle of Gods was the first new thing that was released in theaters outside of Japan, well, in the United States, which was a big deal because we had not been able to see Dragon Ball Z in the big screen until then, and it was I didn't see it in theaters, Battle of Gods, but I did see the other three movies in theaters, and it was definitely worth it. So Laser, and by the way, Jordan, I agree with what you said. Battle of Gods is like the Big Bang. Everything after the Big Bang, boom, just became a new universe, literally.
Yep.
So Laser, anything to add on the impact of Battle of Gods?
Battle of Gods is to Dragon Ball as Dragon Ball Z is to Dragon Ball. It's the start of a whole new way of looking at things. Not only just because
That's true.
obviously every story's come after it, but the style has come from there. Dragon Ball Z changed from Dragon Ball into be more sci-fi, more the Saiyans and everything.
Yeah,
Dragon Ball Super brought us gods and dimensions,
yeah. It was.
and
It opened it up even more.
that's been the focus ever since to this day.
Yeah,
Um,
not as much as it should be, but
not as much as it should be or could be, would be, but it's different. It's not the same.
Yeah.
Dragon Ball is not the Dragon Ball Super era is not the same as the Dragon Ball Z era. In many ways, that's not so great. In some ways, it is great, but it is just it's a completely different epic, and that is because of Battle of Gods, which didn't say Dragon Ball Super. It said Dragon Ball Z. So did the movie after
Yeah.
it. But it's
Yeah.
effectively the start of the Super era.
It is.
And
It is.
let's be honest, don't watch those episodes in Dragon Ball Super. Just watch Battle of Gods. Come on.
I mean, I'm sure most of the people here have seen both probably, but I do prefer.
I have.
I prefer the movie over the anime. Now, there were a couple things the anime did that were fun, some aspects of Goku versus Beerus and some filler here and there, but I still feel like the movie version is significantly better. So, Star Blast, your opinion looking back on the past 10 years.
Dragon Ball Super in general has been like a very wild ride since then. You know how it all started from Battle of Gods. Like I know, um, I'm honestly just like I'm really happy with the continuation of Dragon Ball. I've wanted it to continue. Battle of Gods came in and it opened the doors. Super came like Resurrection F came in, and then the Dragon Ball Super anime was announced. You know we had that, and we've had a lot of ups and downs. And highs and lows. Some good and bad, but overall, like I'm really glad at the very least, like that we still have more Dragon Ball coming. And I know the business side of you will agree.
Well, not just you're right, but not just that. The truth is, if you go back, Dragon Ball Super and Resurrection F and Battle of Gods, that whole renaissance introduced me to a lot of new people. I wouldn't know any of y'all if it wasn't for this. And I got to
Right.
meet a lot of new people. I got to travel. Like Dragon Ball Z Battle of Gods existing totally changed my life because, granted, yes, I didn't start my channel until Resurrection F, but still, had it not been for Battle of God's success, there would be no Resurrection F or Super. Had it flopped, it wouldn't have been that way. And I think it was successful because of Toriyama's influence, making it much more Toriyama-esque while still having, because it's action packed. I mean, Goku versus Beerus in that movie is as good as any fight prior. Like you can go back to other Dragon Ball Z movies like Goku versus Cooler and Goku and Piccolo against Garlic Jr. I still think that Goku versus Beerus kind of blows all those fights away as far as like how much fun it is, them going into space. Like it really is it's quality shit. So it changed my life. It literally changed my life, bro. So with that being said, I'm out. Take care. I'll leave links to all these guys in the description. We'll see you in the next one.